toka hey che waki lo yo ai me ka ko yo wanika toka hey che waki lo yo ai ko yo toka Dagoshich wakhan etkya wachinkya hoinkya kun oje khati kinina biokhpa kya wasiata kya biohya pata kya itoka pata kya sukash bata wakhan pinicha pikun hoje vichon uslaun vichoni waste okihu yapi namakhtia makha yukuna tukasna wambalikuska anukhsta Wambali oetiki waste wahe. Ogna onkalupi hechita unka tako waste wahe. Na ohopi tako waste wahe wa unakapi. Tako waste wahe lokina sipita woki unkita kapi. Tako waste unkapi na unkupi ku ina. Yeke chitu unkiti chapi lekdapiki. Makha take onchi. Ahitu keku. Onit hakuta ukaguta pi. Unchi ukaguta pi una osu kilapi. Katia wichoni waste. Ogna upikta. Zania woki uchoza nikinina. Yuha ukoya pikta woki ukita hapi. Weche lektatiki. Ea St. Francis Indian School. Trataha owayawaki. Trawoke na trawoke zekara pohena lekta ki iwogla kapitina aiya pitin khan hoya I chushika autochti parents na grand guardians ki shikato kap in the school ki school board ki na beglusa pikta you cho tha ki you happen kha na elwo ki chaki want to ki dakoni do kapteni 20 Waka pach, woskil, woash argitishni. Hechel esh kapishni kun, hoechel lichtartuki. Duaka omanitekile. Yuita tahe tukashla. Rosebud Tribal Education Committee. The Tribal Council ki hina woabalasi. St. Francis Indian School, oichaki ni. Huna etushika. Owaya wakile si chanko oyatiki uki kapituki. Tribal Council na RST Tribal Education Committee. St. Francis Indian School kile agalutapi. Wankapi. Na waka pas agya inashi oichakapi. Help our Tribal Education Committee, our Tribal Council, to have understanding to make St. Francis Indian School a showcase of our young people. Our future for today, not tomorrow, but today. We had a beautiful ceremony for our kindergarten, for our sacred children here today. We pray that amongst our children here, that it be a safe haven where their dreams will be fulfilled. Woi hambale kinina yu hamanipi, hena yiki chipi chati chapte. Echtani na tukas la hoi chapien. Onakta tukile tuwa kahip yukha awichakia wupi wahichai. Washini kashnashnia, wichosa ni woki. Bless every parent and guardian that show up here this evening. Bless them with wichosa ni na woki, wichoni washte. Yahawichaki, and help them to speak up for their children. Ektamina, Yawash akapikta, oichaki, Dagoasi, washtek pikiovena, wokim kita happy, Ektamina, Dagwaka etka, Oshektish, watching Yahok yapi, Tukasla now kitikopi, Ekta, hoikia hoikichapi. Wakaya, Kaka, Tokaya, hey, Chaya, Waki, Loy, Wakaya, Kaka, Tokaya, hey, To each and every one that showed up for these efforts, we want to say a big thank you, appreciation, and gratitude that you come to support.
Thank you, Joe and Flo. Just to set a few ground rules, we will be going over it page by page. We're going to have our school lawyer go through it. If there's something that you would like to say, please come up to the mic. It's right there in the middle. That way we can take all your suggestions into consideration and mark them down. That would be the one thing that we would ask tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Kurt Argenbright.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here today and present. It's a privilege to be associated with St. Francis Indian School, and you need to understand that there's some very impressive administrators, staff, and board members that would be, you're lucky to have them. Any school district would be lucky to have a lot of these folks. So with that, I'll start. We'll go through it. I think the best way to do it is to go through the entire bylaws and then reserve questions until we've gotten through the entire document. Okay, so everybody that came in here received the packet. In there are a multitude of documents, and I think the main thing to start with is we're proposing these new bylaws to give control of St. Francis Indian School back to the parents. There is a timeline of events that shows that was the initial intent of the corporation when it was created almost 50 years ago, I believe. And it lasted that way until approximately 2007 when Tribal Council took control from the parents and gave it to the entire tribe. So if you look in your packet, there's the charter of St. Francis Indian School, and I point your attention to Article 6, membership. The corporation shall be open only to persons who meet the qualification of membership as prescribed, but primarily the parents and guardians of students at St. Francis Indian School and related activities. The same with 7. The board of directors are to be at least 5 members, but who are primarily parents and guardians of students at St. Francis Indian School and related activities. It's mentioned again in Resolution 84-181. The first, therefore, be it resolved, again, who are primarily parents and guardians of students at St. Francis Indian School and related activities. So that was the intent, and that's the way that it was operated for a number of years until 2007, and I think that that's in the best interest of St. Francis, is to have the parents and guardians who are the actual stakeholders and have skin in the game to be in control of how their school operates and how their children are educated. So to the bylaws now. Page 1, and I suppose the first and foremost is number 1, Article 1, membership, Section 1. Sets forth the requirements for membership of the corporation, which is open to any member of the Rosebud Sioux tribe who is the natural or judicially determined legal custodial parents or judicially appointed guardian or parentally appointed guardian by law or St. Francis School policy and procedure, and they must be the parent or guardian of a student enrolled on a full-time basis at St. Francis Indian School. So again, this is to get it back to the parents and guardians. If there's ever an issue, there needs to be documents. St. Francis Indian School can request documents proving that you are in that position as parent. The membership roster is going to be maintained by the St. Francis Indian School Student Records Manager. The Board of Termination of Membership, according to the bylaws, a member may be terminated, but it has to be in accordance with the bylaws. And one event of termination is no longer having a student enrolled as a full-time member at the St. Francis Indian School. The Board of Directors, and I guess let me back up too. To get parent involvement and parent input, there's going to be an annual meeting of the members of the corporation the last Thursday in September each year at 6 p.m. at St. Francis Indian School as determined by the Board of Directors. At that meeting, the Board of Directors is going to be elected from the parents or guardians who are qualified to vote. So the Board of Directors, under these bylaws, is going to be proposed to be comprised of 2 members who are voting members and who are parents, as previously described, a non-voting member who is going to be the student body president, an employee association president, but they are voting members but for on student and staff matters. 2 positions will be alumni of St. Francis Indian School. 1 member will be an at-large position, or an at-large position, anybody living within the exterior boundaries of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe, and 1 tribal ed member. Yes.
What page are you on?
Page 4. And then it continues on to the top of page 5.
Yeah, I know.
And the superintendent will serve as an ex officio member but will not have any voting rights. So for the nomination of candidates, it's going to be open, we're proposing in 2023 and each subsequent year, beginning the first day of May, between the first day of May and the 30th day of June, when there's a position open on the Board of Directors. The executive assistant is going to publish once a week for 2 consecutive weeks in the school newspaper, making people aware that those positions are available. And then anybody may be nominated, but they have to complete the nominating petition and file it with the executive assistant between June 1 and June 30 of each year. And there's some qualifications to be eligible to be a candidate. That's on page 6. 3A. First, you must be 18 years old, and you cannot be a student of St. Francis Indian School. Next, you have to live within the exterior boundaries of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe, and you must have done so for at least 1 year prior to the filing deadline. You must submit to a background check, which is a local, state, and federal background investigation, and it must show that there are no major crimes, which shall be any crime with a potential penalty of 1 year or more incarceration, no criminal history of child abuse, neglect, or sexual misconduct, and no criminal history of any crime involving embezzlement or dishonesty. There may be some additional requirements as set forth by the BIE by virtue of receiving our funding through them, and I'll get to that later. You have to pay the filing fee, you have to submit to a drug test. There can be no outstanding balances owed to St. Francis Indian School by the filing deadline, and the student records manager shall verify eligibility according to the bylaws. The background checks shall be completed by the 30th day of July by St. Francis Indian School. And we go into that if somebody wants to withdraw as a candidate, they can do so. And there's some time frames for doing so. Page 7, the election, it's going to be at the annual meeting, and the annual election of the Board of directors shall be held at the annual meeting, and each election shall be presided over. Page 6, excuse me.
Yeah, page 6, there.
There's going to be 3 judges over the election, selected by the board of directors, and 1 Western Sioux Tribe election board member. There's going to be proper ballots and booths for the voting. The ballots are going to be gathered, secured, and transported to elementary school's office, where they're going to be canvassed by the election board, and then the results will be announced by the outgoing chair at that meeting. The tenure in office is for 3 years, and that's once we get past the staggering, and we get to that later, but once we get through the staggering issue, because of the way that we're just starting them from scratch now, they're going to be for 3-year terms. And that's set forth on the next page. So 2 voting members who qualify as natural or judicially determined parents. After these bylaws are approved, at the next regularly scheduled parent meeting, 1 member shall be elected for a term of 2 years and 1 shall be elected for a term of 1 year. The student body president or the student body rep is obviously voted on each year. The employee representative shall serve for 1 year, beginning September of each year and ending the following September. The 2 alumni members shall be elected to a 3-year term, and that begins immediately after these bylaws are approved for both. The at-large shall serve as a 2-year term after these bylaws are approved, and shall be elected 2 years thereafter. The 1 voting member that is the tribal head shall serve for 3 years, beginning 3 years after these bylaws are approved. So we have to grandfather some directors in because of the very nature of this, so we have some continuity on the board of directors, so then we can add new directors from the parent corp and keep things running smoothly. So what we've proposed is 1 board member shall serve who is the alumni and shall remain on there through September of 26. 1 member shall serve as the at-large position until September of 25, and 1 member who's serving and qualifies as an alumni shall serve until September of 24. We also have some mechanisms in here for recall of directors, and any member of the parent corporation may notice a special meeting in accordance with these bylaws. And if you have a petition signed by at least 30% of the members voting in the most recent annual meeting, they can petition for removal of a director. And obviously it must conform to tribal law. Vacancies are going to be filled, and they're going to be noticed they're going to be published in the paper, and then people can submit their letters of intent or interest in those positions, and then they'll be appointed by the board, and they shall serve the balance of the position that they're filling. We have some code of ethics in here and conflicts of interest language to ensure that things are done in accordance with law. There's to be 12 regular public meetings each year. The first such meeting shall be that called after annual meeting of the members, and subsequent meetings shall be held at monthly intervals during the school year. Special meetings may be called by the board of directors and obviously the members of the parent corporation. Emergency meetings may be noticed and excuse me. We're going to publish notice of the meetings of the directors so the public, as in and the parents, can participate. We go over quorum, which is a majority of the board of directors. Excuse me. There's going to be an organizational meeting where they elect the president, or chairperson, vice chairperson, secretary, and treasurer. And we allow for electronic participation in the meetings. For example, Zoom. And then it goes into, excuse me, the duties of the chair, the secretary, the treasurer, the superintendent, annual reports, business manager, principal, executive assistant, etc. Towards the end, we announce in Article 6 boards and committees and what their duties are, and the rest is basically typical corporate law or corporation boilerplate language that must be included, so there's a mechanism for amending and dealing with the bylaws and following them. So with that, let me check my notes, see if I hit the major points. And if anything I didn't hit on, go ahead and ask about, but those are the major points of what we're trying to get accomplished with this proposed bylaws. I think that's it for the bylaws. I have a few other things that we can go over, but if there are questions now, we're available.
Let's go and get some.
Yes.
So when you guys plan on changing this?
When?
Yeah.
Excuse me, the board of directors approved these proposed bylaws, but in order to get them to become effectual, we have to go and get approval from the tribal council. And before we can go to the tribal council, we have to get approval of the tribal education committee. We started the process and met with a representative of the president and the tribal council in July of last year, and no action was taken. And then just earlier this month, we got in front of the education committee, who suggested that we have a public hearing with the parents and public. So that's why we're here. And then, depending on how this goes, we'll go back to the education committee and hope for them to shepherd it through the council.
Do you guys think you could give us more time to look this over, and can we give suggestions?
You can give suggestions.
I mean, because this is a good idea that we can give it back to the parents. And there's things, ideas that maybe we can put in there, amend whatever Donna's trying to do over there.
Well,
Thank you.
I don't think you're loud enough.
Can you guys hear me? Which song do you guys want me to sing? But my name is Teddy Connors. Most of you know me. I'm a parent here for 33 some odd years, and I've still got more years to go with this one here, so you guys gonna have to deal with me. But anyway, I'm asking them, how soon do we have to, is this going to be approved? And what kind of wording does Donna have on that resolution, or she's trying to propose with the tribe? We never saw that as parents. We just got this today in the mail. I mean, not even in the mail, from the admin.
We are open to suggestions here, and I think that's what we're trying to figure out. We want your input. That's the whole point of this, is to get parent involvement.
Like a short-term notice.
I understand that, and I'll have an answer for you here in just a second.
First Wednesday in June.
So today's the 16th. How about
How many?
2 weeks? How about 2 weeks for comment for you guys to submit your suggestions to the school or the board, however you want to do that?
Maybe because I like this idea, but it's just the wording. Like, if they say the parents are the one that's going to be being sitting on the board like they used to in the past, then I don't know how many of you parents agree that long time ago when we were on the school board our own community voted for that person. How many of you remember that? You know, we got to vote for our own person that can sit on that school board. And I wish Marlene was here. Marlene is here, sitting over there. She knows more about everything. She's a legend here, like me. But anyway, what I'm trying to say, that would be nice if we can vote our own board member in there from our own communities, like we used to in the past. And
We have provided for that with the at-large representative.
And still, we never had an at-large representative. The only representative we had back then was the tribal ed. That was the Sioux tribe. Them guys were the ones that were in on this, sitting on the board. Because I was sitting on that school board the year we got removed. And I got elected to sit on that school board from my own community, not from Rosebud, Parmley, North. We all had our own individual elections. How do you guys feel about that? Would you guys like that too, or do you guys, you know, I think that's an idea. And so I think before, I don't think we should, June 1st is just right around the corner.
How about until May 30th for the parents to submit their ideas or their comments on that?
That's way too soon. You know, I got a full schedule just like you. And so, I would like for us to at least take a couple weeks to look at this and ask more parents. You know, I'm sure there's more parents out there.
So I think we agree on May 30th then. That's 2 weeks
Is that in 2 weeks?
from today.
Oh, really? I ain't noticed, but anyway. What do you guys think? You guys all agree with that? I mean, if we really want to give it back to the parents, then yeah, that's a good idea, because we've been trying to do that since years and years ago. But Marlene could give us some input on how to do that. I'm sure she can look back in the archives and the storage and pull out those old bylaws and how the wording was said on it and everything, you know. I got a parent to talk.
In order for the tribe to take over the corporation.
You repeat the question, please.
What was the reason why the board was dissolved, the parent board was dissolved in the first place?
So back in 2007, Tribal Ed made a list of grievances against the school and had the council remove the charter. And so if you guys look in those resolutions that were in place since 2007, they put an interim board in, and that same interim board was supposed to oversee these elections based on their own resolutions that they put in. That never happened. So that was the reason, and that was the turning point when it became reservation-wide. They took it from the parents in 2007, and it became more political. But it was based on tribal ed and that list of complaints they had, and that's what started this. And from that point on forward, that was when it became reservation-wide.
I was sitting on that board when they put that charter, and one of the reasons they told us was because our reading level scores were low and our math. And I said, so what? It's been low way before, but it was all political. And today, our reading and math levels are still low. So what? Let's go back to phonics and teach our kids the basics.
My name is Bonnie Harry Shirt. I would like to give you a brief history of how St. Francis Indian School became parent-oriented. Father Fagan told me that they were considering turning the school, the mission, into a parent-controlled school. in the 1970s. And anyway, I said, why? Why do you want to do that? It's going to become really political, and people are going to be using their own agendas, private agendas. I don't think you should. And he said, well, we don't have priests or nuns to run the school. We have to have help. So I said, if you can wait a little while, I'll have my children become priests and nuns. Anyway, he said it was being done with consideration, a lot of prayer, and a lot of thought and conversations with different people. The first board members were Christine Valandra, Andrew Rabbit, Phyllis Portier, Manly Nightpipe, and I know there's another one. But they really did work hard to get the charter going with the state, and they finally did, to get it parent controlled. And it was, it was hit and run. We didn't know what we were doing, but the people that were board members really tried. And they try to get Indian staff, try to get more board members interested, and it did. It ran pretty good for a while. And then it became really political when the tribal council, and like I said, people had their own private agendas against people. Then it turned into wanting money. Everything was money. And it became very hard. I think we should prove these bylaws tonight and keep the children in mind. I've taught in this school for 50-some years. I started out as an aide, and then a teacher, certified teacher, and I have my master's in education. And I've watched our children. Every year it's something different. And like Teddy said, we should get back to phonics, but every year, for some reason, something new comes along and we tried it. Well, in my own class, I do the phonics, the 5 pillars of reading, and I've had success. So I think we have some good teachers, good people, interested parents. So I think we should think about it. I really think we should pass these bylaws. It's time to run our own school again. And we were picking our own board members. I was a parent that asked Teddy to run and campaign for her. So I really think if we look and see parents who are interested in education, and that's all, I think we would be doing the best job possible. It is time to do something. Gee, we've been working on this for 3 years, and I think tonight's the time to make that motion and get the ball rolling. And I'm glad we're having hearings. Parents should come and say constructive things, not tear people or the school down. The school is running okay. They have good teachers who are worried about the children. And, I think we could do a good job, and we're headed in that direction. All year I've been watching. And even though I'm strictly, I've saw good things happen. And best things are even coming, where we're going to have the workshop, or we used to call them detail. When I was in school, we worked in library, laundry, and this Marianne used to work in the sewing room. But anyway, I really think we should, and I would like to make that motion, if someone would second it, that we approve the bylaws, and if we want to make them any different, to have that. Come to the hearings, have your stuff written, and put it in the bylaws. So that's my motion. I'm going to make a motion to approve these bylaws. I need a second.
I second it. What about Becky? Did you make a motion to wait for
gonna count the vote.
There's two that want to speak over here.
Well, I didn't even know we were going to pass anything. All I knew we were having a hearing and give us input. Let us put input in it. Yeah, but I don't know. So I don't want to be a phone to pass around. I'm not going to pay for it.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Wendy Blacktail. Mr. Arkenbright, I just wanted to, I think I might have helped some of us if you had actually read what's in state now and then what you guys were amending it to. Because there's some things that I don't know what you guys are amending. You just read what you amended. You didn't say what you're changing it to. So, one of my questions is...
I can do that if you want me to.
I'll just go on. It's already passed. One of my questions is if we limit, so saying we're giving the school back to the parent sounds really nice, but if we limit to who can run and who can vote just on our school, how does that help our nation as a whole? The entire tribe, not just the school.
Part of the impetus for doing this was the St. Francis Indian School received calls from people in outlying communities like Milks Camp, for example, and said, why is this on my ballot? I don't know anybody that's running. I don't have any skin in the game. I don't care what's going on at St. Francis Indian School. They didn't go. None of their children went here, and they won't. So that's why we want to bring it back to the parents, is because they're the stakeholders. They're the ones with skin in the game and that know what's going on and know what's best for their children and will make decisions that are appropriate for their children and to ensure that they get the best education experience that they can.
Yes, but we're a tribe, we're a nation. We don't just, I don't like the idea just because we're just limiting it to a very small group of people. When, St. Francis is a tribal entity, it is everyone's concern, and I think you guys should be encouraging, Milks Camp's a small community, but you guys should be encouraging the entire tribe to make choices on the tribe's entities, not just limiting to this alumni here, parents, and then that's it. Because this isn't just a little community, it's a tribal entity. This includes our whole reservation.
If I could pose a question, why did it work and why was it the intent of the council to have it be a parent corporation from inception in 1970 until 2007?
I'm not that old, so I'm not sure. But I'm not new to this. I've been looking into it for a while. I've been very invested in the school for a long time. I talked to people who've been in administration before, who've been on the school board before, and the reason the charter was stripped last time was because the administration was paying parents off. And it got out of hand. That's why, it got really out of hand to the point where council needed to pull the charter. It wasn't like they didn't just do it to do it. There was reasons behind that.
I'm not sure that's accurate. Yes.
Can I ask, do you have documentation for that for us?
You guys should have the documentation. I'm just a parent.
No, I'm from the community. I'm asking that what you're saying, where's the documentation for that?
We would probably have to ask the school or the council for that because I'm just a parent.
Teddy, you were on the board then. Yeah, Teddy, you were on the board.
Yeah,
Were you guys paying up?
Yeah, when we had annual meetings, we all got $75 because that was for our stipend for dying. Every year we did that. When I was sitting on that school board, we just didn't go giving money out to anybody. The way I saw it, there was, to me, I feel like there was disgruntled people, politics, it's all politics. Went down, they turned around, and just Pretty soon, okay, I'll run for council. Then they'll run for council. As soon as they get on there, then they pull that charter. And we were told they pulled that charter because our grades were low. Our reading levels were low. But you know, at that time, we won a case. I don't know, everyone if you remember, we won $1 million. We didn't win it. It was donated from some lady. Marlene, you remember that, do you? Remember that old lady that we had to go to court with a mission? And there was $1 million in that. And back then, there was a lot of money. Well, we won that money. And the school got the money. Next thing you know, the charter got pulled. And those were the excuses, was because our reading levels were low, but I know I didn't say, okay, give so-and-so that much money.
Teddy, we might let Wendy finish here.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so that's just my opinion as far as like the limiting who can run and who can run and who can vote. I don't think it should be limited to just parents and people who go to this school, because if we really want to think like Lakota people, we do it as a whole together. We don't just leave it over here. I don't know, that's just my opinion. And I have another question.
I've gone.
And then these grandfathered terms. So who, say these bylaws were to go through, who would be the 3 board members that would remain on the school board?
That's set forth in the proposed bylaws and the grandfathered terms.
Yes.
And who the individuals are is not determined yet. They just have to qualify under those that are going to stay on and carry forward until September of 26, 25, and 24. I think 2 are alumni, and let me look. One board member is an alumni, another is at large, and another is an alumni. One alumni till September of 26, one alumni till September of 24, and the at large till September of 25.
Okay, but I mean, so
That'd be selected by the board.
but that wouldn't be selected by the parents. But you guys keep trying to say that it's parent involvement. Why wouldn't the parents choose?
That's not a terrible suggestion, which you could make to us, and we could do that. But it's going to be selected out of those that are currently serving.
And then, you made the comment that the current board is doing an excellent job and such. For the past couple of years, like me personally, I've been really out of the loop with the school. There were times I tried reaching out and never got a response. And I know in Resolution 2007-126, the Board of Directors shall report on the activities of the board and school through monthly community meetings, media outlets, and other sources of public information, and we don't get that.
I believe that the minutes are published.
They're not published.
And we have gone in front of tribal council and given a report of the school. I've been there at least twice since last July. And the reason that I say that the school is doing well is because representatives of the Bureau of Indian Education, specifically Dr. Sosi, has said as much. Other similarly situated Indian schools are in receivership, and when this board and your superintendent took over, it was on the verge of that from some prior employees, and that is no longer being threatened for St. Francis Indian School. So it's improved tremendously in a short time.
Is for middle school? So I have both of my girls are in middle school. No, I'm not saying anything about the teachers or anything. Like, I really like the teachers, the staff, everything.
So we agree.
My concern is staff and teachers. I don't know about board and administration, but my question is how the school's doing great and stuff, and I remember this, my girls came home upset one day because the middle school principal at the time had yelled at the students for all of them performing under grade level, 3rd and 4th grade level.
I don't know any particulars about that instance. I think that if you would talk to the principal or the board of directors and express those concerns, I think they'd be addressed quickly and adequately, but I don't know anything about that.
You're welcome to come visit each time.
Oh no, it wasn't you. It wasn't. I know you're the principal, but it wasn't you. I'm talking about.
I'm more than happy to answer your questions.
She's the one to go to.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but it wasn't when she was acting principal. It was the former principal.
Understood, but
Which is
how
why
is
I'm
this?
wondering why is the school getting such good remarks if our kids aren't performing at level and.
I don't know if there's any empirical evidence as to that, but what we're here tonight to talk about, it's not individual grievances or issues with anybody. It's about the bylaws and returning it to the parents. If you don't have anything more on the bylaws, and I can give you the history lesson on when it was taken from the parents in 2007, and that was through Resolution 2007-126 as amended about 8 or 9 times. But the quick and dirty was that the tribal council appointed the board of directors. They were supposed to select the staggering terms of the board of directors and determine how the election was going to be held from there on, and they never got around to do that. Another issue is the Rosebud Sioux Tribe Law Ordinance, Rosebud Sioux Tribe Ordinance 8610, the election ordinance, never added the St. Francis Indian School to that. So that's because the reason it was never included in 8610 was because that the parents, it was a parent corporation, the parents handled the election. So I think it was probably improper for the tribe to ever do that without specifically amending 8610 and making that part of the election committee and a Rosebud Sioux tribe-wide election, which was evidenced this last election in August, I believe it was, August or September, because they didn't have funding, and they came to St. Francis Indian School for funding of the election, which would be improper if it's a tribe-wide election and under the election committee. So that was an inconsistency, but they also asked St. Francis Indian School to fund that, which St. Francis Indian School can't use federal funds to do that. So they were trying to work around that, but I think that evidence is the fact that they don't want it, and they've never taken the steps to appropriately take it over. That's why it needs to be a parent corporation with the control and the parents at St. Francis Indian School. But I think Ms. Sharon has a comment.
Pick one. Let me get some numbers up. Sharon. Get Sharon. Here, let's see. Let's see.
Door prize numbers, the last 4 numbers are 418384. We'll go see Anne. 418. Who has 418?
Go ahead and bring Sharon.
Sharon, if you're ready.
Good evening. I have a question that has been on my mind since this charter was pulled, and that was this original charter here.
it states, Article 2, duration. The duration of this corporation shall be perpetual. So when, from 2000, I just got off the tribal council, I can't remember the years I was on there, but this was a big theme there on the tribal council floor, and it took up a lot of time because there was so much confusion on how it was taken. And every time we came back to this Article 2, this duration of the corporation. So when you have a document like that and you have these words, you know, stating this, and it states perpetual, so when this charter was taken, what did that mean? That meant nothing to them or whoever?
They broke their own creation of this entity.
Right. So therefore, you know, it caused a lot of chaos.
And I think that proves that the parents in the school are best able to handle this corporation and to deal with it because they're in it.
Because of the things that were happening here at the school at that time. And I serve on no committees, and I am going to state this as an enrolled member of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe. I'm also alumni of St. Francis Indian School. But during this time that this came to tribal council, one of the things that became very clear to me was there are people out there that perceive the school as their cash cow. And it had nothing to do with the student body, what was in their best interest, and keeping them safe. Because there was a situation that took place where ethics were filed against me. Because what was happening up here with the students was not right. And it's still not right, because how that situation was handled. And these are the people that thought at that time that, I guess they thought what they were doing was in the best interest of our young and enrolled tribal members. But then COVID hit. And then at that time, we were delivering meals. They were providing breakfast, lunch, and for the kids. During that time, in the St. Francis community alone, there were over 100 preteens to teens who were couch surfing. But yet, when we brought those issues to the superintendent at that time, it fell on deaf ears, and nothing was done. And that, you know, that didn't sit well with me. It was, and that's when I started to see all this stuff, plain as can be. Polly Toltzwan served on the council with me during that time. So she got to witness a lot of that stuff. There was a lot of personal attack. I mean, people that were in charge of the school at that time were going for kills on council because we were defending the student body. And I thought that was so, you know, to me, back then they were saying wrong was right. And it wasn't. So when I look at this and it states perpetual, you know, they violated something here. And that needs to be addressed. And I think this needs to be addressed before anything else can happen. Because there's a word in here, it states perpetual. One of the things, serving on tribal council, you see a lot of our human rights being violated. And as legislators, you know, that was our jobs to protect tribal members from going through those types of things. But it depends on, you know, if you think right is, or wrong is right. And if you think wrong is right, then you have the support. But when you know wrong is wrong, that's when they're going to go against you. There was also a situation with this election. And as alumni, I filed. I was told that it was over. They didn't even do the background on me. I tried addressing this with administration, with the election board. And I've heard this stuff has gone to court, but yet nobody has ever contacted me. I've never received any kind of notification on the outcome of my challenge. So I thought it was real important for me to come here tonight and address some of this stuff, and especially with those bylaws. You know, and when in changing those bylaws, we need to be very mindful of the people that these bylaws are going to protect, that they're going to oversee.
And if I could mention or just touch on a point that you mentioned just a bit ago regarding the election, and that's part of the issue, is that there was an election challenge filed, and the election committee and council didn't want to deal with it, so they told St. Francis Indian School to deal with it and address the challenge. But where they took the charter and we didn't run our own election, we didn't have jurisdiction to address it, and they didn't want to. So I think that that's another prime point of why St. Francis Indian School needs to give the control back to the parents, so they actually have the ability to address those concerns when they arise.
You know, now
and to ensure that background checks and drug testing are completed.
Backgrounds are very, very, very important. At that time, the tribal ed rep told us they were not required to do backgrounds. And at that time, we had a big argument on tribal council in regards to that, because I knew better.
It is a requirement, tribal law requirement, and also Bureau of Indian Education requirement.
Exactly. And one of the other things that I want to remind everybody of, you know, that's I grew up here in this community, went to school here, you know, we're all products of St. Francis Indian School. I think we've all done really well for ourselves. And one of the things I hear nowadays is our kids can't read, our reading levels are low, you know, St. Francis isn't doing this, those teachers are that. But one of the things I'd like to remind parents, we are our children's first teachers. That is our job.
I totally agree.
And the other thing, and this is nationwide, our educators, they don't get paid millions and thousands of dollars to come in every day and teach our kids. As a matter of fact, a lot of them have to give from their own salaries to provide for their classrooms. I don't want to sound like I'm sucking up or anything, but Danny was my daughter's second grade teacher. And we've seen Danny, and I said that, I've seen Danny scrub toilets because she didn't want the bathrooms to be dirty. I've seen her serve lunch. I've seen her purchase out of her own pocket to provide for her students. You know, your teachers do, but they get pretty beat up, and usually it's by people that's never been in a classroom. Yeah. But we also need to remind ourselves of that. We are our children's first teachers. But thank you very much, and I'd also, this word perpetual, that needs to be addressed before anything, because how this all happened, apparently they weren't reading this, they didn't understand it. But I've asked this question, even sitting on tribal council. Well, if it states perpetual, how was we able to take this? Nobody has ever answered that question for me. So I'm still waiting for my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Swift. And Lori's here.
Okay, the ticket numbers, last four numbers, 412. Oh, no, 412. 412. 398 386 393. You guys got winners? Go out there.
Star, do you have something? Would you like me to bring the microphone to you?
Midakiaki Star Wakingo Machiaki. I am a graduate of St. Francis Indian School in 1989. As you can tell, I did not become a nun. I went into the military of the U.S. Army. I am a board member, and this is my 13th year on the board as elected employee association. Now, I just want to come up here to let people know you're going to hear the good and the bad. I dedicate my time to this school because I have a graduate here, 1994 graduate, and she is also a college graduate, a product of St. Francis Indian School. She did not know how to read, and this school helped her to do that. We should be proud of who we are. Many of us come from chiefs that gave this land to us as full-bloods, and we need to remember that as well. We have enough going on about our people out there, about being abolished, our treaties abolished, and that's something that the school gives our children. We get that education. We get the Lakota language here. I'm a proud board member being elected by majority of the staff here. I don't promise them anything. I just promise them that we follow the policies, the procedures, and make sure their due process and grievance procedure is followed, because 2.5 years ago, we did not even get that right to stand up as parents and be heard. And now we have that right, and let's keep that right going. I'm on my 22nd year working at St. Francis Indian School. I don't work here for a check. There's more money to be made out there than in Indian education. If you're in Indian education, you can stand by that. You're here because you want to give the opportunity to the kids of the same opportunities you did not receive growing up. And we are products of the boarding school. Then that education helped us get where we're at today to give to our children now. My son is going to graduate tomorrow, and I'm proud of that fact. One stepping stone from this school. There's a future here. We got a CTE coming. I'm proud of the fact that he'll get a high school diploma and learn a trade. If he decides to go into the job market, he will go and educate it. I can stand by these bylaws. No one paid us to do this. No one said, board, we're going to give this to you. We work tirelessly, effortlessly, and there are no lies behind this. I've been belittled behind my back, talked about behind my back, put online behind my back, yet no one came to me and said this. I'm here. Say it to me. Say my name. I've endured a lot of things here, but you know what? I'm going to be here. I'm going to keep being here until I'm told to leave. I'm a mandated reporter. Been since I've been alcohol and drug free since 1994. Lakotas can be free. Lakotas can live. Lakotas can get educated. Thank you.
I want to reiterate a point that she made, the fact that we are here so parents can express their concerns. That's the goal of all of this, and I think that by virtue of having this meeting, you see that it's going to be followed through with.
Ticket number 395 and 404. Go see Anne back there.
Good evening, everyone. I'm also here. I teach here, but I'm here tonight as a parent because I do keep kids in my home. And I had one graduate last year, and she's going to school in Vermilion, and she's doing really well. But this is a good place. And when it comes to the voting for the school board, it needs to stay within this school. You need to have a child here, because I don't see people from Milks Camp or any other community come here and support our kids tonight, during football games, during during any parent engagement.
Yes.
And you know, that's my opinion.
Yes.
Because those are the ones who are going to fight for the students here, are the parents, the guardians. And that's who it needs to stay with. It truly does. I'm an alumni from Todd County, but you know what? And I have grandkids that go to school over there. But this is where I'm going to fight for. Here. So we do need to keep it within this school, parent guardians only, because it's going to come from the heart when they really care. It's not going to be anything about politics or nothing. And like Sharon said, you are your first and most important teacher.
Yeah.
And our kids learn by example. So nowhere back in our ancestors or anything did they cut throat. Did they talk about and stab in the back? We were a nation, and it's been broken. So what's going to build this school are you guys, parents and guardians. So that's the way it needs to stand.
Hi, good evening. I just wanted to, I kind of got invited over here, and they said, you know, come over, sit down and listen. I actually went to school here when it was part of the mission. So I got a chance to be taught by some of the brothers and sisters that were there. And they were really good, you know, good teachers, good instructors. That was right when, it was back in the 70s, so that was right when the tribe started to take over education. And I sat on the Tribal Education Committee for a while. And at that time, there were some things that were going on that weren't real good. I remember Totes and some of the other ones were came up when some very unfortunate things that occurred when, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, so at that time, but I really like what's going on here now. You know, it's really good. I've seen Danny make some changes around here, and you know, the teachers are really invested in what's going on for our kids. I'd like to see that really flourish and drive forward. So I guess my question is, so what do you need to happen tonight? Do you need to get this approved tonight?
I don't believe so. I think what we're going to do is give 2 weeks for public comment. So May 30th at 4 o'clock will be the cutoff, and they need to submit it in person in writing to Marlene. And then I think from there, what I think would be the most appropriate is to take those suggestions to another board of directors meeting, discuss them, evaluate them, potentially amend the bylaws, approve them, and then go back to tribal council education.
Okay, so you are going to give everybody 2 weeks or whatever to comment and stuff. So that was my question, I guess, with what we were trying to get done, you know, this evening. So thank you, appreciate it. Yeah.
Ms. Lori.
Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry, I thought I was at an AA meeting, but I guess this is education. So, no, I just want to say, I'm curious to know how many students we have here at St. Francis Indian School.
700.
So we have 700 students here. How many are parents here that go to school, that have students? Wow. If I was all y'all, and only because I'm an alumni from here, I would demand that those other parents get here.
Yeah.
I would demand that if they want to talk about St. Francis Indian School, then get here.
Yeah.
Be a part of your child's education.
Yeah.
See what your teachers are teaching your kids and what they're doing. I will say, as an alumni, I got my bachelor's degree from Nebraska. I got my master's degree from the University of Denver. I did their advanced program. But that's because I went to school in St. Francis. And I had a mother who made sure that we got educated. She was there. So I want all of you all to give yourselves a hand for being here, for being a part of your children's education, your grandchildren's education. And as you guys hear and talk and, hear some things, have pride, have loyalty. That's why we came to school here, is because we were damn proud we were St. Francis Indian School. And one of the charters, one of the philosophies way back when the priests were giving it back over to the tribe, they wanted to grow their own, educate their own so that they can run this school. And I'll tell you what, my sister Danny lost me then. She didn't have to come back here. She didn't have to put up with all of the positive and the negative. She was in a very good job. But you know what? Like Tote said, her heart's here. We belong here. We're part of the soil here. All of you all, we're all related in some way. Let's cherish that. Once we start cherishing each other, we'll start cherishing our children. But I was kind of thinking that as an alumni, it would be good for us to be part of the board, but I did see that we are going to be voted in with 2 seats. So I think that one of the things that I would like to do, and I know they were looking at that, is that track field. It's horrible. How can we get together to start fundraising to get a better track field? How can we get together? Back in the day, this was when I had electricity, when it first became, no. I just off the topic real quick, I had a granddaughter that asked me, I was born in the black and white days, we were talking about TV. So I said, yes, I was. And she says, Grandma, did you get tired of wearing just black and white? But we had athletes, and they started from grade school. They had us in, all the sports, all the way up to high school, and we had some undefeated teams. Let's get that back. Let's encourage our kids, our grandkids. I hear the running is the biggest sport here. I still keep track, and I still go to LNI and cheer on our teams, whomever they may be. That's because my heart's here, and I'm very proud to be a St. Francis Warrior.
Are there any more comments about? Sitting pretty close there, Teddy.
My name's Sandra Spotted-Tow, and I've actually been a parent for 21 years here at St. Francis. My oldest daughter is 27. She was 5 when she first started here. Unfortunately, I'm sorry I'm not an alumni, but one of the main reasons my children go to school here is because when I found out they do Lakota history and culture and the language, this is where I wanted my kids to be. This is where St. Francis has been establishing and trying to rebuild our way of life, and they haven't strayed from it. They keep getting stronger and stronger. They make the curriculum, and it's really important to me because I have that way of life that my kids have, and St. Francis just reinforces it, and I'm really proud that I have 3 children still going to school here. They do learn, and it's just a matter of, I really appreciate what Sharon says, that it's a parent's first responsibility for us to teach our children. It doesn't fall on all the educators. It falls on you also, because you are also an educator, and everything that you teach your kids is so important. So I just wanted to come up here and just say, with the corporation, I think it's a great idea. I've been part of that process. I think it's, I realize as a Sichangu Lakota nation, it is important that we look and we try to help our Oyate, but more or less, when you're a parent, you're invested. You think about your kids, and not everybody out there is invested in our community. tribal members are not invested in the school because actually their kids go in a different school. So I feel like as a parent and having this corporation, I think it's so important that we have parents that have kids here because they have the most investment, they have the most understanding what they want from the school. And if we have that input from the guardians and the parents, I think we'd be stronger for it. Thank you.
I too want to tell you guys a story. I'm a legend here too, just like Marlene. But anyway, Danny taught my son, my oldest son, in 2nd grade. She was just a teacher back then. Then she worked her way up there. And you know, I produced, my husband, we produced a valedictorian out of this school too. My son, my oldest. And I have 2 other graduates here. She said, can talk. I support the Warriors every day, man. And you know what? When I'm out there, people see me wherever. And you know, they talk about, my secret here is, I was born a Wakanigo. And who can count, I'm a Wakanigo, huh? I was born one. And Bonnie knows that too. And anyway, I hear people out there talking, gee, them Wakanigos run the school. I turn around and I say, hell yeah, we run this school. And they look at me like, well, you're a Connors. And you don't know me, man. But anyway, I just want to thank you for giving us time to look at, review that thing and give our inputs in it. Like, it's good that we want to do this, but it would be really good if we can individually vote for our own members in the community.
Yes.
And how, instead of having Rosebud vote for me, and it's going to just be popularity the way I see it. It's going to be same like, so that's one of the things I'm going to try to amend.
Yes, yes.
2 weeks, May 30th, 4 o'clock to Marlene,
Okay.
the other legend.
We're legends, Marlene.
Elda, you're up.
Okay, thanks. Well,
Ticket
I'm
numbers
gonna head out.
394, 407, 417, and 422. Go see Angie.
Donna.
Good evening, all parents and guardians. Once a warrior, always a warrior. And I'd like to thank all those that showed up tonight. We will be taking all this information, we'll be taking all the information back to Tribal Ed. One of the things I'm not on with the grandfather, my term ends, so the next election, whoever will be the education committee will be on that position. So I really want to thank the parents and guardians that were here tonight. And thank them from the bottom of my heart for the 3 years that I got to serve on the education committee and the school board. I'm not done yet. I won't be on part with the education committee, but I will be looking back to come back either as an alumni or parent guardian back on the board, because I now have, going into 4th generation, my uncle graduated 1970, I graduated 1980, my son graduated 1990, and now I got grandchildren. So my term here at or I should say my life, not my term, here is not done. I still like to move forward. And thank everyone that's here tonight. Welcome.
Wendy. Go ahead, Wendy.
All right, you guys. I would just like the same respect that all of the staff was given for speaking their word. like I said, I've been invested in the school, not just the school, but the entire youth for about a few years now. Before that, I wasn't very involved. Once I became involved, I started, reaching out to people, learning about everything. And as much as everyone wants to say politics aren't involved, politics are very involved. Just like tonight, I see a lot of supporters here. I don't see much parents. I know parents want to come, but just like what happened to me, they don't want to be attacked. I don't think it's right for board members to speak the way they do to parents. And I will tell you guys, you guys are all here together supporting each other, and I'm here by myself, and I always will be, because I know I'm here for the well-being of the students. I truly am. And I know a lot of things that are going on aren't right, and I know that these bylaws trying to be passed are not right. They keep saying parent involvement, but this public hearing wasn't going to take place. The education committee made them do this public hearing. The school didn't offer to do it. I was at that meeting. I was also there when Donna tried presenting these, bypassing the process to get these passed right away without, parent involvement. They made her go back to education committee. Education committee asked, were the parents in on these amended laws? And they said no. So the education committee told them, you guys need to hold a public hearing within 30 days. What I don't get, and I keep saying this, we are not limited to just us. As soon as we graduate from here, our kids graduate from here, we go off into the tribe, we go off out of state. Yeah, we don't just all come back to St. Francis. That's why it's very important to make sure that this, we don't get pushed out the door. And like we've been doing, we've been getting pushed out the door. And what this is going to enable them to do is do it legally from now on. I'm not stupid, and I know what I'm standing for is correct, and I will stand here in front of all of you guys. All of you board members, administration, you guys know why I don't deal with you personally. We tried a few weeks, we tried very hard to resolve issues with the school board, and they did not want to resolve them with us. And it's still happening. Like I said, my words got misconstrued. I'm very proud of this school. If I wasn't, I would have pulled my girls out. I have 2 outstanding athletes. I have 2 little ones that I plan on having attend here. And I just want to make sure that you guys understand, yes, we're all proud of this school. We all came from here. I'm very proud of it. I like the teachers. I like the staff. No one ever said we didn't. It's really hard to get up here and speak against all of you, but I'll do it every chance I get, because I know what's going on is wrong. I know in my heart it's wrong. We need a new school board. We need to involve our whole reservation. Since when did, I don't know the history too much. Can anybody ever tell me a time when our tribe, we just stuck to little groups and that's how we prospered? Is that the way things really do? We want to throw culture in there? I'm a very proud parent. I'm so proud that I began learning all of this stuff. I began reaching out to people. I began printing out bylaws, learning on my own. I would like to attend council meetings, board meetings, committee meetings. But up until now, we're out of the loop. We are out of the loop. I'm not scared to stand here in front of you guys because I know what I'm fighting for is right. And I wish, you can tell there's 700 kids here. I think, 432 parents. Out of 432 parents, if we are running such a great school, why are they not here involved? If this school was running perfectly, everything was great, why is everyone not running to be a part of it? Things need to change. For our kids, not just our kids, for the entire reservation. We're not, this isn't a little, it is a community, but we're not limited to this. Once we graduate, we go out there and we make the rest of the reservation run. We have to involve everybody. You know, there's other people who aren't alumni that are just as invested in our youth as we are. We can use their help. Milks Camp keeps getting brought up. You know, encourage Milks Camp to be a part of it. Encourage every tribal member to start, you know, being involved in everything.
St. Francis is in school, gets funding from BIE. So if a student from Milks Camp wanted to enroll, they would have to transport that student because they get funding from BIE. They can't deny them that access, they can't deny them that application. So that would be up to the whole to figure out how they can get that student from the school year. They go as far as Lawrence, and even further down they would bring students here. So I don't know why Milks Camp keeps getting brought up. I mean, maybe one of their kids would come to school here one day. But that's why they get getting money. And they will have to meet those accommodations for that student.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say my word. Like I said, every chance I get, I attend education committee meetings. I was at the meeting, the special meeting where they tried to pass these without the parent involvement. All I can say is get involved. Just like she said, have parents get involved, because this right here, if we were in like legal terms, this isn't even a quorum for our parent population. Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. Well, I'm going to do real quick.
So I'm Angie Scott. I have going to be a second grader next year here. And I did graduate from here too. I gotta say that I'm all for the new bylaws. I mean, I've been reading them for like a couple of days now. My one question, I guess, would be when we do this whole new parent committee or board or whatever, like, would we be able to like have it like this, you know, like have it in a bigger place? Because then we've all been up to Gruder and we know how tiny Gruder is. So like, I think it would be a lot better if we could just hold it in a place like this, and then that way a lot more people can come. And this is our first meeting. This is our first meeting and everything, so I didn't expect it to be this much.
That is the intent, so more people can participate.
Okay.
Especially at the annual meeting, because I believe the way the bylaws say we want at least 25%. It'd be great if we get 100% of everybody that's eligible, but 25% minimum.
Yeah. What else was it? Oh, I just want to say you guys are doing an awesome job. And not just because I work at the business office. I honestly do believe you guys are doing a good job. My son loves coming to school every day. And we wouldn't have been able to do that without, you know, all the great teachers, elementary teachers that, you know, go up and introduce themselves to all the kids at the beginning of the year. And as parents, we can be more involved. You know, not just to come to get an incentive or maybe even just be fed. But hey, as long as we're here, we're here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I do have a message from a parent from Upper Cutmead she said, I'm sorry I can't make it to the meeting, but they have a doctor's appointment that they've been waiting for several months to get at. And she said to tell for her that it's not that she's not interested, but she said, I would be there, but they've been waiting for months for this doctor's appointment. So she said, it's not that I'm not interested, but we have this doctor's appointment that we've been waiting for a few months. And then I also have another relative from Parmley that asked me to say that, you know, we would be there, but they have another appointment too. So it's not that we don't care, but it's that we support our children there. They go to school there, and it's not that we don't care, but we have other obligations that we've been waiting for a while. And then to say things about St. Francis Indian School, as far as I understand, is Marlene still here? Oh, anyway, I understand that the school board meetings are printed in Todd County Tribune. And why I say that is because I have a grandma that is out in Parmley that when the Todd County paper comes out, she calls and says, can you come and translate? She's not a very good English speaker, nor does she can read English very well. But she always asks if I could go and translate in Lakota for her what is said in the school board meeting minutes. So we have some grandparents out there that are interested. They don't come here, but because they're intimidated still, because they're not a fluent English-speaking person. But I'm hoping that in the next meetings that we could bring our elders in that can get in on some of this. And I want to say to Danny and to the school that I'll probably be doing some homework trying to translate the bylaws to a couple of our elders out there. But they're interested and they're praying for the children here, for the teachers. And it's really different. And then they're really for the parents, guardians, to be a part of the school board, like how it should be. Because they're the ones that know people from, you know, the outskirts that have children, like Parmley and Uppercut Meat. They want to be involved too, but some of them went to school here, and they're still interested. But again, there's, you could tell in and amongst our people, some people are still wishticha, they're still shy, and they're still, I don't want to say bucky, but you know, they're because they're, you know, not fluent English-speaking people, they kind of draw back. So it's not that they're not interested or not caring, but back home, they, you know, one parent from Uppercut Meat said when we go to our sweat ceremonies, we pray for the school, we pray for that school board, we pray for that superintendent that they, you know, lead our children on a good path. And I just wanted to say that for you, Danny, that there's people out there in the communities that they're praying for you, that one of our own is at the helm, leading our children into the future. And especially, I don't know, I just wanted to tell you something that I've been, you know, teaching here and there when I was teaching up at Lower Brule and went to LNI for different conferences and stuff, that other schools heard of your curriculum, that the curriculum that you made for Lakota language, they wanted to know if it was accessible. And so then I told them, I said, well, get a hold of St. Francis Indian School, because they keep hearing about the language here. And the other schools, they want to do the same thing that you did here, is make a curriculum for Lakota language, for the culture. But I just wanted to tell you that because the grandma on Parmley, she told me to tell you that she prays for you every day. And when she gets her communion on Sunday, she prays for you. But to tell you that, pass the message on to you, that she's praying for you. And so then she asked me that if she can come to Sundance and go to the tree and pray for you. So I said, yeah, come. So anyway, those of us that we believe in these ways. We believe in our prayer life. And so me, I'm really happy for Lakota language here. We're not in boarding school anymore. We're not punished for our language. And I guess I always hear somebody say, well, I want to apologize to the elders for speaking. I said, well, me, I have to say, I'm sorry to your non-speakers, those of you that understand, but that's not my fault. We have, schools that are teaching our language. The college is taking our college. We have some speakers out there. That's your problem. That's, your priority. Is it a priority or not to learn your language? That's on you. But anyway, we have opportunities here. And I know teaching here and being here, working with the directors, we made a go of it. We all had the same goal in mind, and that's what, when I was working with Ann Bordeaux here, we worked for our children, and I think people from, Two Strike, and what I enjoyed working with the children was because some of these were my relatives, their grandmas, their aunties. That's what made it, enjoyable to work here, but not just with the kids, but their families. Tiwahe, Tioshpai, Okashpe. But that's what, like the saying goes, it takes a community to raise a child. But Lakota way, we do each and every part. And it's not that we're, exclusive, we're inclusive. And so many of our elders, they try to include us. But it's up to us. Do we want to be a part, or do we not want to be a part? I really like the comment that was made here tonight. More parents need to be here. I think that we need to, we've done our best. And I know, like I say, parents called me before this meeting and telling me to tell the message that it's not that we don't care or we don't want to come, but, we have other appointments, but next time we'll be there with you. So we have that hope that, more parents are coming. And the parents that are here, pass the word for our next morning, our next meeting. There's no best way than for you parents here to tell the rest of the parents, Upi, Upo, Wana, you're going to hear things. Pass the message on. Be the messenger. I know that we don't hear the language on care, and I almost was tempted to go up there and say, hey, hello, Manicha, Chadona, Huakaya, Shawichalo, Ha, Pichi, Gatia, Upo. They'll probably look at me and say, what are you saying? But anyway, you parents that are here, pass the message on to other parents. Come to the meeting. Come and support our children. Today was a beautiful day when seeing our little kindergartens. I just said, boy, they were just cute as all could get up. They're just like me. I was cute like that. Oh, I might still have no. Anyway, pass the message on that, call your neighbors, call them up. Shehali, get on your cell phone and talk your leg off about coming to the meeting here. Help us out. Help each other. Okichapi. That's the way we're going to get things done. We help each other. We have a goal here. We have a motive. We have an objective. We have benchmarks. We have an evaluation to get done here. But move forward. And I'm really glad that our school board member is here, Sister Georgia, and that Donna came. I just want you to know, Donna, we always pray for you. You're just one voice. And sometimes they probably don't want to listen to you. But we pray for you that you would have a voice in promoting and helping these bylaws go through. And sometimes, they can't read and understand it in English. I know for sure that if I talked to them and read it to them in Lakota, they sure in the hay wouldn't understand me. But my heart goes out to you, Donna. I think you've done a good job. We pray for you as well. And we encourage you to keep up the good work. And I know that you're from here with us, about us, to and from the students. I know your heart is here, just like many of the people are here today. To keep up the good work. Pilama.
I would point out that Nicole Marshall is here as well. And we have another number first.
423, 413.
guys, nobody's standing alone tonight, because we all came here for a reason, and it's for the kids. So in all reality, we're here together, and we do need to get parent engagement. And if we have to go to Milks Camp to get kids, we will, because we went to Winter. We used to go to Winter every day to pick kids up at one time. So no matter where, if someone enrolls here, we'll go and we'll get them. But we're not standing alone tonight, because we're all here together for the best interest of the kids here at the school. Thank you.
It's me again, I'm back. I had two things that I wanted to say, and as people were talking, it reminded me when they mentioned Milks Camp. So, as the layup director, I go out into all the communities, and we sit from morning till night, till evening. And it was like prior to the election that I was sitting out, not only in Milks Camp, but in Blue Creek. We were actually at the park there, and then at South Ideal. And everybody keeps bringing up Milks Camp, or everybody keeps bringing up, these kids that are out there. Totes, I do remember when you guys used to go out to Winter to get the kids. But I will tell you in all honesty, and if St. Francis Indian School sent a contingent out to these communities, the most resounding thing that you will hear is, why are we voting for a school board member in St. Francis when we don't even know who they are? I had community chair people tell me, when my people come and they're voting, and they say, well, who are these people? Why are we voting for St. Francis Indian School Board? My kid goes to Bonestill. I don't care what goes on over there. Or my kid goes to school in Winter. Really? And then what they do is they connect the dots, and then they hand their ballot in. And I say, you know what? There's some bylaws that are going to be coming out. If this is how you feel, each community get a resolution and say we support St. Francis, give it back to the parents and the guardians of St. Francis Indian School. We have no business over there. I did tell administration that, and I've told several council people that. And it's not about being exclusive or inclusive. It's about where your heart is. And these kids, they come here, the parents want them to be here. It belongs back with the board. They're going to make sure that those children's needs are being met. They're going to be invested. The other thing is before Lakota language and culture was in vogue, I'm going to date myself, but back in 1999-2000, Danny was an assistant principal then, and my son was going to school here, little bitty first grader. You know what she did? She did an immersion class. My son would come back and be trying to talk to me in Lakota, and I'd be like, oh my God, I still don't understand, and I better start learning. But that year, those little bitty first graders caused a riot at L&I because they won the Lakota Language Bowl. They beat out Cheyenne River High School students, and they were ready to fight. So because that class, I still have my son's coat, they were dragging on him, they were pulling him like robes, and they were in the, what is that, the big thing where everybody comes walking in. They were a part of that, the grand entry. All these little bitty first graders coming in with coats, just dragging, just proud, just looking around. But that was her back then. I don't need to toot her horn, and that's not why I'm here. But we have that here. We had it here. And that was even before it became in vogue the way it is now. They had tried that stuff. So again, we're not trying to be exclusive. We're not trying to be inclusive of everybody. But really, you guys, don't be speaking for communities unless you hear it. And I can honestly say I heard this. Why are we voting for St. Francis Indian School? My kids go to Bonestill. Bonestill's only 7 miles away from here. I'm not going to send them 150 miles away. Same with Winter. My kids go to school in Winter. Why do I care who sits on St. Francis Indian School Board? That's the stuff that I heard. So let's remember, give it back to the parents. Give it back to alumni and relatives. Because we can make it great again. And it's becoming there. You see the paradigm shift where it's being focused back on the children. And you know, if people wanted secrecy or hiding or saying that nobody invited anybody, you know what? They sent that notice out on email. Nicole can attest to that. Tribal-wide email from Cindy Young. Even she couldn't get people here. The Education Committee. Let's work together. Let's quit trying to say it's just one person or two persons. It takes a village. And yes, there's people interested and they do want to come. And you know what? It's 20 to 8. I'm tired. I'm sure you guys had a long day. So kudos for coming here. And did I win again? Thank you.
Well, I think that's going to conclude this meeting tonight. Again, 2 weeks from today, May 30th, by 4 p.m., submit it in writing and take it to Marlene at St. Francis Indian School. Yes, Wendy. Proposed amended resolution of 2007-126 because that's what resolution they used to take the charter from St. Francis Indian School, and this is what we're going to use to give it back. But this is just for demonstrative purposes to Tribal Council because they can draft their own resolution. They're charged with doing so, but we're doing this out of ease to them. That's what changed the bylaws to begin with. But this is what changes it back to the bylaws that were proposed, is what that 2007-126 amended, restated April 23rd, 2023, or April 24th, 2023, I think. Look at the front page.